Hello there, and welcome to my first ever screencast-o-matic video recording of a lesson. So this is going to be for Friday, December 11th. This will be in two parts because I have a 15-minute time limit on this. It's going to take a little bit over that. So this first half will be on the first 5 amendments, and then the second part of this will be Amendments 6 through 10, as well as the assignment you will need to be doing with these. Okay. It won't hurt to take notes, but you can also go back to this video and rewatch and pause whenever you need to get the information you need. Okay? So, what had happened at the beginning when they made the Constitution, there's a lot of argument, a lot of uncertainty, because now all of a sudden they're giving power to a national government that the Articles of Confederation didn't do, and again, they're still afraid of a king. And so, in order to make this work, they said, look, we need to have this Constitution with a strong national government, but we need to protect the rights of individuals. So James Madison, when he wrote the Constitution, said, great, we'll write the Constitution, then immediately I'll start working on these first amendments to the Constitution to guarantee the rights of individuals. And so that's what these are about, and most of these all still apply today. Some of these you already know. Okay, so here we go. One can hope. Okay. So who determines what the Bill of Rights means? Well, that's going to be the Supreme Court. They sit there and look at those and say, what does it mean in 2020 versus when it was 1820? But the big thing is they have to balance the rights of the individual, right, for a Bill of Rights versus the rights of society for us as a nation. Which one has more importance? How do they both work without interfering with each other? Okay. In the First Amendment, there are 5 rights mentioned. You'll need to know or write down all 5 of these. You have the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, which is the right, like on the image, to get together in large groups, and also the right to petition the government. We're going to go over each of these. So in the freedom of religion, it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So there's 2 parts to this. One saying that the government cannot make a national religion, that we all have to be a certain belief. And 2, meaning that no matter how you choose to show your religion or not have a religion, whatever you choose, is entirely up to you. Okay? So that's the Establishment Clause, that's the government, the free exercise is for us. Sometimes they conflict with each other. So in schools, that's where you're going to run into most of this. So if a student raises their hand and says, Mr. Wacker, can we say an opening prayer before the test? Okay, there's really no right answer for me. If I say yes, it looks like me being a representative of the school district is establishing a religion, that person's religion is the one we're following. Or if I say no, then it looks like I am prohibiting that person from exercising their right to their religion. So technically my answer would be, if you want to say a prayer in your head for this, you go right ahead, but we can't do this as a group, okay? So, with the Establishment Clause, what can the government do? We can teach about religion in school, typically the 5 major ones. We can allow voluntary prayer in many examples. And the school district can pay to transport students to a religious school. It doesn't happen very often. And we can read the Bible for culture or literacy content, like a historical document. Okay, but we can't necessarily teach what is said in there. But we cannot set a state religion, like all of Nevada is going to be blank. The government cannot make you pray. We cannot teach religious doctrine in the school, meaning we can teach for historical, but not for what their beliefs are and why. And we cannot pay teachers of religious school, seminary teachers, okay, because that's government-funded money. So, and we cannot teach creationism. Okay, we can teach the idea of evolution. And we say there's also an idea of creationism, but we can't necessarily teach what that is because we just can't. So the freedom of speech. Congress shall make no laws abridging the freedom of speech. So we can say pretty much anything we want, but there are some limits. Okay, so you can say any political belief. I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I think this is right, I think that is right, whatever it is. You can protest without getting out of control and damaging things and threatening. You can say things about someone that are true. Okay, you cannot say things about people that are not true that damages their reputation. That would be called slander, and you can get in trouble for that. They can sue you for that. You can burn the flag. That is for the Supreme Court, and yes, they said that is a freedom of speech. You can say racist and hate slogans with certain limits. I don't know exactly what those are. You can disagree with someone. You can say something that someone might disagree with. Holy cow. Okay, free speech limits on the person. You cannot threaten to blow up airplanes, schools, or the president. One example I have for this was a girl that was in high school back, many years ago in Sacramento. Said something about she thought that President Bush should die, kind of thing, on MySpace, which is like pre-Facebook. And so Secret Service came and had a little chat with her, and she had to take that post down. They had to make sure that was not an actual threat, kind of deal. You cannot sexually harass anybody, okay, no matter what your gender or what the other person's gender is. You cannot do those things. You cannot create too much social chaos, meaning causing riots and those kinds of things, where it's going to begin to tear apart the fabric of our society. There are limits there. You cannot use extremely crude language in a public forum, okay? The filthy, foul, filth, and foul, filth, as you say, give your speech or whatever. Cannot do that. You cannot use disrespectful or vulgar language in schools. Again, blankety blank, 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 blank. That's why we remind you to remember where you're at. And you can't talk about or encourage hate crimes, crimes against other groups, people that you don't agree with or are not a part of. Okay. Freedom of the press. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of the press, meaning newspaper, TV, news, that kind of stuff. So what can the press do? They can print any political position. You'll find that in the media it's very strong. The one TV station is very conservative. Many others are very liberal, and so they will support their side. You can make fun of people, especially politicians, and we see that in political cartoons. You can expose wrongs by the government. You can investigate, the government's covering this up or whatever. You can do that. And you can say things that people might not agree with. They might print stuff that you just get you all angry and you want to chew nails or something like that, but they can do that as long as it's not done in a hurtful, lying, libelous type way. Okay? Oh, libel, which is intentionally injuring a person's reputation by false facts, making things up about somebody that are completely untrue, but then people believe because they read it in the paper. That person can come back and sue the jeebers out of people. You cannot disclose defense security secrets. WikiLeaks is famous for that. That's why the creator of WikiLeaks is no longer in this country and is staying in a different part of the world because they would be arrested if they came back. You cannot detail how to make certain weapons. Okay? Freedom of assembly. Okay, you can peaceably assemble. You can get together. It is your right to do that. Okay? So with that, you can protest. You can parade as long as you have a permit. You can parade even chanting hate slogans. And even gang members can congregate in public, even have their own parade if they want. Okay? But you cannot protest by throwing rocks, breaking windows, can't become destructive. So like what we saw a lot this summer, even in downtown Reno, that was against the law, what they were doing. After a certain point, they began with a protest, which then became destructive. You cannot hang out on private land against the owner's will. That's loitering or trespassing. You can petition the government. So Congress shall make no law abridging the people to petition their government for a redress of grievances. Meaning, if the government does something wrong, You can sue them. You can bring that wrong to light. Okay? You cannot be punished for exposing wrongs by the government. If the government has been dumping toxic waste, right, in the Truckee River, and we've been drinking it, and we find out about it, you find out about it, okay, you can't expose that. They have not, as far as I know, but those kinds of things. And in the court, it goes to court, and they decide who's wrong, government or you, and what the punishment is. Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, a well-regulated militia like our National Guard being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed, that we have the right to have guns, which is now a very big, heated topic, okay, because what's going on? How much can the government keep guns? How much can the government keep guns from criminals and youth? That doesn't make sense. And in order to keep guns away from criminals, does that limit the right of law-abiding citizens? So, if we have the right to bear arms, does it mean that we have the right to have assault rifles and those kinds of things? Is that considered necessary or not? And if I start putting different qualifications on who can get guns and who can't, and does that, in order to protect criminals from getting them, or our kids get their hands on them doing, unfortunate things with them, but then does it impose on the right of others to go out and buy a gun if they want? Okay, sorry, that didn't come out the way I meant. A little stuttering, stumbling, sorry about that. Thousands of people die every year because of guns, but then again, thousands of crimes are prevented because people own guns. So, what's right, what's wrong? Third Amendment, the government cannot force you to shelter soldiers in your home without your consent in time of war or peace. Going back to what was going on in Boston and England putting soldiers in people's homes. Okay, we talked about that quite a bit. The rights of the accused, Amendments 4 to 8. These are like if you hear the Miranda rights when you watch TV, you have the right to remain silent, all those kinds of things come from these. So the Fourth Amendment, what does a policeman need in order to search your home? He needs a warrant given by a judge. We're looking for these things, or in connection with this crime. And these have probable cause, so they need to have seen people going in and out of your home, and maybe money being exchanged for them to get a warrant to search your house for, drug paraphernalia or something like that. There are illegal drug sales going on. They can't just show up and say, hey, we want to search your home. We're going to look for these things. Okay, that's not okay. Fifth Amendment, you cannot be tried for the same crime twice. So if you're found innocent of something, unless new information is brought to light or that kind of goes into quite a bit more detail, they cannot try you again. Gosh darn it, we think you're guilty, we're just going to try you again. You do not have to testify against yourself. I plead the Fifth Amendment, which means I'm not going to get up there and take the stand and have you ask me questions, because I might end up saying something against myself that makes me guilty. However, if you don't take the stand, then it looks like you are guilty because you're not going to go up and say anything. Okay, it's your right to do that one way or the other. It's kind of a double-edged sword there. You must have due process of law. There are certain steps that must go before you can go be convicted of a crime or tried for a crime. And the government cannot take your land unless it pays. And we talked about the other day about eminent domain. Okay, yes, the government can take your private property, but only if they pay.